Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Tuesday. It is 2:07 in the afternoon here in northern New Jersey. It had been snowing. It's not snowing no more. It had been snowing from the time I woke up. I woke up pretty early this morning. I woke up at like, I don't know, like 6:30-ish or something like that. And it had already been snowing. And now it has stopped. But it's like 35 degrees, so it's above freezing. So it probably won't be too much stick or anything like that. However, I think like over 1,000 flights have been canceled for the day, and stuff like that. So it's definitely causing some issues. But right now, it's pretty warm where I'm at, considering that it just snowed. Oh, it just bumped up to 36 degrees. So it's just going to be a bunch of mush. We got Stoned Assassin, Fritza, Mara, Dora. What's going on? How y'all doing today? How y'all doing on this afternoon? It did. Let's see. Oh well, thank you so much. I appreciate you leaving the damage report. Speaking of the damage report, I need to be on there again sometime soon. I always really like being on with John. He and I really make a good duo. I'm gonna be on the power panel this Friday. I don't know with who yet, but we're gonna find that out. But yes, it's snowy and it's stormy here in the Northeast, but it's not really freezing cold right now, so it probably won't stick. So let's see what's up. Let's see what we got. We got a variety of stuff here today. Now there is George Santos's seat. That special race was going on today. Alonzo, what's going on? How you doing? We There was a special race for George Santos's seat. But speaking of all the not rain, excuse me, all the snow and stuff that probably put somewhat of a dent out. But let's check this out. What to know about New York's closely watched House race? New York's 3rd Congressional District is hosting the first closely watched contest of 2024, with political experts saying that the results of Tuesday's special election could offer some early signs of how swing seat suburban voters are feeling as the presidential race begins to ramp up. From Rep. Tom Susie, former Rep. Tom Susie, a well-known Democrat in the area who used to represent the district before leaving for a failed gubernatorial bid in 2022, is facing Republican Matzi Phillip, a Nassau County legislator with a smaller profile. The race, which has attracted millions of dollars in major New York politicians, is playing out on Long Island, a key battleground for House control later this year, and a barometer, experts said, for messaging on crime, immigration, and more. All right, so let's see. Obviously, we know George Santos is gone. He's still trolling. He's still doing his thing. You know what I mean? We got my boy Mike Boy in the building, multitasking. You know what I mean? Let's see. Um, Susie was a three-term representative, and again, he ran for governor in 2022. Didn't make it there, but okay. Stoned Assassin said you got some snow in the mountains out there. Hit 35. All right. All right. Philip is an Ethiopian-born Jew who served in Israel's military, a high-profile resume given the current war against Hamas in Gaza. I guess. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. We'll tomorrow we'll go over the results and whatever happened. Stay up to date, see what's good. But yeah, no. New York snow slashes voter turnout for George Santos's seat. So let's see what this says here. But yeah, nah, man, Mr. Santos. I don't know how long he's gonna go away, but I really don't. I really don't see how George Santos would not go to prison. I really don't. Like, and for what? Like, there's no good reason to not send him to prison for at least a little bit. Voters on Long Island headed to the polls today to vote for the replacement of George Santos, who was expelled from the House after an ethics investigation into his campaign finances and a series of reports revealing he lied about many of his personal facts. I mean, we already know this dude lied about everything he possibly could ever lie about, things that make absolutely no sense. He pulled it out of the hat and he did it. He made it happen. All right, we got. Let's see where we at. I think Republicans do have a challenge. To be fair, the Long Island Republicans, Nassau County Republicans are very organized. They're very effective, and things are trending Republican on Long Island because of the crime and immigration issues. But there could be a George Santos penalty here, being the party of George Santos is in this district. That could cost them some votes. Well, we'll see what happens. We gonna find out. Because again, it was snowing a lot, but it's not really that. It hasn't been that freezing cold. So we'll see what's up. All right, let's see. So I think yes, here we go. We're gonna do this one first before we go to this story about this judge. Um, Katie Porter news. What's Katie Porter talking about? Mrs. Katie Porter. California Democrat Porter says age limits for all elected officials should be discussed. Katie Porter, who's running for the Senate in California, said Monday that age limits for all elected officials should be discussed. I do think generally that age limits are a conversation for all elected officials that we ought to be having, Porter said Monday night during a California Senate debate. Porter made the remarks in response to a question about whether President Biden, 81, and former President Trump, 77, are too old to run for office. Quote, um, I think that's a conversation we ought to be open to. I think we need a mix of people who've had years of experience and people like me who've only been in Congress for 5 years. But I think we have to have that conversation. The House Democrat also lauded the Biden administration and said she's pleased with what he's done so far during the debate moderated by Inside California Politics. Porter appeared alongside fellow Democratic reps Adam Schiff and Barbara Lee, as well as Republican candidate Steve Garvey. Well, a Democrat's almost certainly going to win that seat. I mean, come on. We'll see who it is, though. We gonna find out who it is. Let's see. They're all vying. Yeah, Dianne Feinstein, who passed. She was 90 when she passed. I mean, she addressed the question, but I mean, that again, that's like a conversation in and of itself. I really don't. I don't know what the age limit should be because certain people are their mental faculties are stronger or weaker. Some people may be in their 80s and be sharp as a tack, and other people not so much. So maybe there's tests that people need to take once they get to a certain age. Something like that probably would make sense to me if it actually were to come to fruition. If there was some type of like an age restriction or test for age in Congress, it would probably be something like that. Like I don't know how much sense it makes to just like do a straight dead stop for an age versus okay, maybe once you hit 70 or 75, we start, testing you for X, Y, and Z or something like that. But speaking of people who are way too old in office, hold on, let's see, what's this? Hold on. All right, yeah. So this is relevant. This is related right here. Unprecedented in American judicial history. Quote: Oldest federal judge vows to continue to fight to be reinstated on bench after fellow judges have her suspended for overwhelming evidence of decreased mental capacity. So again, I thought that this rolled well right after Katie Porter. I mean, if you're we got Christina. What's going on? How you doing today, lady? If you got well, first, oh, she's 96. Oh yeah, no, that's too damn old. Come on, that's too old to be in a position to be in any kind of position. Yes, absolutely. When you're miserable, when you're miserable, money ain't nothing. U.S. Circuit Judge Pauline Newman, 96, was suspended from hearing cases after the Judicial Council of the Federal Circuit unanimously found that the judge's refusal to submit to a mental examination was improper. Newman, a Ronald Reagan appointee, sheesh, was, until the council's order, the oldest federal judge still on the bench. A 96-year-old federal appellate court judge whose coworkers say has been habitually confused and belligerent, scored a potential win in court Monday against a panel of fellow judges. She sued after being suspended. The suspension was upheld last Wednesday, and the judge is still not permitted to retake the bench. Ronald Reagan appointed U.S. Circuit Judge Pauline Newman is the oldest judge on the federal judiciary. Newman served for nearly 4 decades on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit until she was suspended in September by the Committee of Judicial Conduct and Disability for refusing to cooperate with an investigation into her mental capacity. Well, I think that's a bad sign if you do, like if you don't want to. I don't want to cooperate with something like this. I think that's probably a good sign that you have something to hide or you're worried about tripping up. But I mean, you're 96. Like you've lived a long life. You really don't need to keep doing this. You really don't need to keep it up. But hey, to each their own. But yeah, 96. That's too old. Where were we? Newman's mental health and fitness to serve was called into question after colleagues complained that her docket dragged woefully behind an appropriate timeline and raised concerns about the judge's inappropriate behavior. Ultimately, an investigation was conducted at the behest of the committee, and investigators found, quote, overwhelming evidence of Newman's memory loss, lack of comprehension, and confusion, and said the judge was often frustrated, agitated, belligerent, and hostile towards court staff. They provided numerous examples of Newman's problematic behavior, ranging from threatening to have her own staff arrested to incoherent and paranoid rambling. Yeah, nah, man. See, I think the fact that you're fighting so hard to be reinstated kind of shows that it's time for you to stop. Like you're almost 100 years old. you, re- like what more do you really have to prove in this line of work? What more do you really have to show in this line? Like I think you've demonstrated that you're a hardworking woman. I don't think you had much else to prove, but I doubt that they let her back on. I mean, for what? Okay, so the committee directed Newman to undergo a 30 to 45-minute interview with a neurologist and a full neuropsychological examination with hours of cognitive testing, but she was like, nope. Newman also refused to provide the committee with medical records from the prior 2 years dealing with cognitive deficiencies and fatigue. Instead, Newman offered her own medical experts who she said would examine her for a much shorter period of time. We're gonna get this done in a couple of minutes. We're gonna set it up for about 5 minutes, get it over with, and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, she's definitely doing a dementia because it's I mean, come on now, come on. She said, "No, I'm finna die on this." She said, "I'm finna die on this bench. If Diane Feinstein can do it, and I'm gonna do it." That's what she said. Okay, well, I mean that's really about it. We don't need to keep going on and on and on down it. Pauline Newman, yes, that's her name, right? Yes, Pauline Newman. I don't know much about her. She was a Ronald Reagan appointee. Um, she was removed from her assignments at the age of 96. But yeah, I mean, come on. And like I said, I think if she was all the way in her right mental faculty, she probably would be like, yeah. He like, hey, maybe that's what's keeping her going though. What we got now? Oh, we got this foreign aid bill. We got this $95 billion with smorgasbord of money going all over the place. Let's check that out real quick. It passed in the Senate, but it didn't go through the House, so it hasn't been signed or anything like that. But this just went through the Senate. Yeah, you really do got to be crazy. I mean, like, and especially for something like that. Like, I could see if you're 96 and you're like, I don't know, volunteering at some type of shelter or tutoring. I don't know, but being a judge, like, that's too much. Senate passes $95 billion foreign aid bill, but the funding faces long odds in the House. And we're gonna check this out in a minute. One of the reasons why this bill faces odds in the House is because um what was it? I just read one of the comments and forgot what the hell I was talking about. Um Oh yeah, Mike Johnson. He was saying that there's no border deal or something like that. But he just rejected the last border deal, but it's okay. This is how it goes down. This is what happens. The Senate passed a $95 billion foreign aid bill early Tuesday, capping a lengthy battle that highlighted deep foreign policy risks between the Republican Party. The 70 to 29 vote kicks the funding bill over to the House, where House Speaker Mike Johnson has said his chamber will not consider the legislation because it does not include border security provisions. The package would appropriate $60 billion to support Ukraine, which has been battling Russia since February of 2022. Now, we're going to come back to this in a second so that we can open up this one right here. Speaking of Mike Johnson opposing the aid because there's no border security in it or something, some or the other like that. No. There's no, what do you say? There's doesn't have a border policy, but last week he was like, skirt, nope. Speaker Mike Johnson made clear he will not bring the Senate Security Supplemental $95 billion foreign aid package up for a vote in the House in a statement posted on social media. Johnson's reasoning for denying a vote for foreign aid? Not because money should go elsewhere, but because, nah, we got to secure the border. The bill has no border security measures, he says. So it's just not going to happen. We can't do it. Astute political scientists will recall that just last week, Speaker Johnson and many other Republican members of Congress insisted that the crisis at the border, described by many as an emergency, did not, in fact, need any legislation, just a stricter position from President Joe Biden. Speaker Johnson's statement. Oh, what did he say? He said, House Republicans were crystal clear from the very beginning of discussions that any so called national security supplemental legislation must recognize that national security begins at our own border. The House acted 10 months ago to help enact transformative policy change by passing the Secure Our Border Act. And since then, including today, the Senate has failed to meet the moment. The Senate did the right thing last week by rejecting the Ukraine, Taiwan, Gaza, Israel. Oh, everybody. They got everybody up in here. They got everybody up in here. They got the Ukraine, Taiwan, Gaza, Israel immigration legislation. Dude, it's insufficient border provisions. And it should have gone back to the drawing board to amend the current bill to include real border security provisions that would actually help end the ongoing catastrophe. Instead, the Senate's foreign aid bill is silent on the most pressing issue facing our country. Indeed. Indeed, indeed. Oh, Ariella. Well, I certainly hope that that gets better very very soon because I know that's rough. I know that's painful. I know that's difficult to deal with. Definitely hate to hear that. But no, I'm not sick anymore. Luckily. Okay, blah blah blah. America deserves better than the Senate status quo. Well, I agree with that. I definitely agree that America deserves better than the Senate status quo. However, you know, you're just holding stuff up because you can. But this is a lot of money, 95 billion, 95 billions of dollars. That's a whole lot of money. Could go elsewhere, but it's all right. Oh, Donald, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Um, what is a WICD? What is that? Am I like too high? Am I really high right now? Am I tripping? What is that? WICD. Uh Hold on, I'm catching it. What is Mike? What's Mike Boy talking about? But again, Donald, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. And whoever it is that played my clip, thank you so much again. Thank you for that. Let's keep this rolling. Donald, I didn't see you come in. I don't know if you just got here. Oh, good. All right. So we got okay, where were we? Okay, the 7029, we got that. It and the 60 billion to Ukraine. It would also send $14 billion in military assistance to Israel, 9 billion in humanitarian assistance to Gaza and elsewhere. We're gonna fund everybody, and nearly $5 billion to defend Taiwan. Proponents of the legislation including most Democrats and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, see Russian President Vladimir Putin as a threat to democracy in Europe. An investment in Ukraine's effort to hold Russia at bay would prevent the involvement of American troops down the line, they argued. Should Russia succeed and feel emboldened to attack a NATO ally? Uh, oh, oh. Hold up. Okay, this is. Oh no, that's Chuck Schumer. I was about to do my Mitch McConnell voice, but this is Chuck Schumer. If we want the world to remain a safe place for freedom, for democratic principles, and for our future prosperity, then America must lead the way. And with this bill, the Senate declares that American leadership will not waver. That was my Chuck Schumer voice right there. We ought to be taking care of America's problems. Hey, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. President Joe Biden, though a spokesperson, through a spokesperson, urged the House to send the bill to his desk ASAP. Right stat now. Do it now. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Rand Paul came in. He said we ought to be taking care of Americans' problems before we take care of the world's problems. I agree with that right there. So that $95 billion, it's a whole lot of money that could go somewhere else, right here in our backyard. Some left-leaning senators too voted against the bill over concerns about supporting Israel's continued bombardment of Gaza as it seeks to quash Hamas in retaliation for the October 7th attack. Israel has waged a devastating bombing campaign in the Gaza Strip that has killed more than 28,000 people and displaced millions. There you go. Bernie Sanders. There's still a question that must be asked. How does it happen that despite waging a horrific war which has caused massive suffering, that the US Congress is about to send another $10 billion of unrestricted military aid to Israel? It is beyond comprehension to me. Agreed. Agreed, brother Bernie Sanders. Trump says no aid without the hope of a payback. What the hell does that mean? Just something Trump said. Because what does that mean? Okay, what did he say? And then people mad at him over some shit he talking about with NATO. Well, there you go. Hey, if it doesn't pass in the House, then hey, that's $95 billion that maybe could go elsewhere. But it's not like they're adamant to send it elsewhere, so they'll figure it out. They will figure it out. We got Aaron in the building. They got Aaron in the building. All right, let's see what's up. All right, on to the next. Tucker Carlson. Apparently, the his interview didn't go so well. I mean, I looked at a couple of clips of it, and it seemed like, I mean, it makes sense that someone like Vladimir Putin would look at Tucker Carlson like just a weak rich boy. Like Vladimir Putin is a murderous thug. That is what Vladimir Putin is. Vladimir Putin is a killer, and he was sitting there poking fun at Tucker Carlson the whole time. All right, let's see. Tucker Carlson says Moscow is so much nicer than any city in the United States. I mean, it's like, no, it's not. Like, no, it isn't. And Russia, that man, they've been getting sanctioned by the whole damn planet ever since Putin invaded Ukraine. So like, it wasn't before then, and it isn't now. Like that's ridiculous. Moscow is so much nicer than any city in America. It's nicer than NYC. LA, San Diego, Houston, Dallas, Austin, Texas, Chicago, Miami. Like, bro, like, get out of here.
How did that happen? How did that happen? And at a certain point, I don't think the average person cares as much about abstractions as about the concrete reality of his life. And
Exactly. He's a famous person who can't handle the fall off because he's not. I mean, like, and that again, that go. We talked about this some yesterday. That goes to show the importance of authenticity. I mean, Tucker Carlson, he ain't got nothing to worry about financially. He never needs to work another day in his life. He wants to because I mean, he doesn't want to be bored and not do nothing. But he got completely caught up with audience capture, and it's like now that he's not with Fox News, people really don't want to watch him because he's not good at what he does. He's not funny. His stories are stupid. His commentary is predictable. I mean, obviously, not you more or less know what people's commentary is going to be like. But I mean, like, you sitting up here talking about Moscow is safer and better and more beautiful than any city in the United States. There's no way you think this.
how did that happen? How did that happen? And at a certain point, I don't think the average person cares as much about abstractions as about the concrete reality of his life.
Right, exactly. It's Moscow is better than Honolulu, Hawaii. I want like, dude, shut up.
And if you can't use your subway, for example, as many people are afraid to in New York City because it's too dangerous, you have to sort of wonder, like, isn't that the ultimate measure of leadership? And that's true, by the way, it's radicalizing for an American to go to Moscow, I didn't know that, I've learned it this week, to Singapore, to Tokyo, to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Because these cities, no matter how we're told they're run,
he's so unserious. He's just not serious.
And on what principles they're run, are wonderful places to live that don't have rampant inflation, where you're not going to get raped.
Sir,
and so,
excuse me.
What is that?
He's like, hold on. And then what do you mean, like, there's no inflation in Russia? What are you talking about?
I'll start in reverse order. Why now? Well, I've been trying for 3 years to do this interview. The US government prevented me from doing it by spying on my text messages and leaking them to the New York Times. And that spooked the Russian government into canceling the interview. So I've been trying to do this, but my country's intel services were working against.
Right, who the hell wants to go to Moscow? Like, I can't wait to go vacation in Russia. I mean, Russia's very large and Russia's huge, and there are a lot of beautiful places there, but it's fucking Russia. Like, and Putin is the head of it, so it's just like,
me illegally, and that enraged me because I'm an American citizen. I'm 54. I pay my taxes. I obey the law. And there was no expectation in the America that I grew up in that my government and its intel services, NSA and CIA, which were always outwardly focused on our
Tucker Carlson said, "Thank God they didn't accept you in the CIA." He said, "You wanted to be in the CIA, but they was like, no, and thank God they rejected you."
Enemies would be turned inward against American citizens. And I'm shocked by that, and I'm infuriated by that. And so once I discovered that that was happening, and I confirmed it was happening, and they admitted that they did it, then I was totally determined, monomaniacally dedicated to doing this interview, not simply because I want to know what Vladimir Putin is like and what he thinks about a war that is resetting the world and really gravely damaging. Yes, I do.
You've been working in several media organizations, from PBS, CNBC, MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, and you've been covering this field well, and you know the American politicians. And now you've been following Putin, and you did a very lengthy interview with this gentleman. And for sure, to interview them, you did your homework and you did your research. Comparing the culture, the competence between Vladimir Putin and Biden, how do you see the two men now running the world?
I mean, if this were boxing, the fight would be called by the medic. And I say that as an American, and I don't have another passport. I don't plan to ever leave my country. My family's been there hundreds of years, and I love it. I am a patriotic American. And I grieve when I see that the president is non compos menis. and that in my country, it is considered very rude to say that. And you sort of wonder, how did you get to a place where you have an incompetent president who's driven not simply the standard of living, but life expectancy downward, and no one feels free to.
Okay. So Joe Biden himself, right? Joe Biden drove life expectancy down, but not Trump when he was in office and the whole COVID thing, because this is like a silly thing to blame one person for. You can't blame a person for lower life expectancy. You have to blame the system at large and look at it for what's causing the issues: overconsumption, or the culture being shifted too much towards individuality, um you know uh the standard of living, in terms of people not being able to afford the standard of living, raising wages, changing the tax code, stuff like that. But no, Joe, but like all of a sudden, it wasn't until Joe Biden came in office that people started having health problems and couldn't afford health. Like, this is just stupid. I mean, he sounds like a 17-year-old Republican who's just now getting into politics, and they just don't really know what they're talking about. But he knows better than this. This is stupid.
To say that. That's not a political observation. It's a statement of fact, which is provable empirically. And the most radicalizing thing I would just say for me in the 8 days I spent in Moscow was not simply the leader of the country, who of course is impressive. It's the largest landmass in the world. And it's wildly diverse, linguistically, culturally, religiously. It's hard to run a country like that for 24 years, whether you like it or not. So an incapable person couldn't do that. He is very capable, and many of you know him and you know that. What was radicalizing, very shocking and very disturbing for me was the city of Moscow, where I'd never been, the biggest city in Europe, 13 million people. And it is so much nicer than any city in my country. I had no idea. My father spent a lot of time there in the 80s when he worked for the US government and barely had electricity.
Why is he even here? Like, why is he even speaking at this? I mean, I guess because he's Tucker Carlson and he has a big platform and a lot of people know his name, but he just seems like a silly person to be speaking at something like this, because the things that he's saying they're so surface level. Like, he's not saying anything like, oh, well, you run a country for 24 years, you got to be a little competent. I mean, like, why is that even worth saying? But we don't need to watch the rest of this. I didn't even know that this much of it was in here. I just thought it was funny initially when he was sitting here talking about some Moscow is so much nicer of a city than any city in the US. Like, that's just objectively not true. That's ridiculous. That's so stupid. Come on, it's safer. There's no inflation in Russia. Like, bro, what? What do you mean? Oh shit. All right, let's see what's up. Oh, hmm. We got a couple of interesting things to finish off with. We got Fox News's Brit Hume. What's he talking about? Yes, it really doesn't work outside of his show. It really doesn't. Because again, it's like, there's so much to criticize Joe Biden for, but blaming him on life expectancy going down just isn't one of them. That's stupid. But he knows that. That's so goddamn dumb. But they got him speaking at that summit. Y'all the ones who invited him. Oh, we ain't got no chip chick today. It could be some good stuff on there, but we got some other funny stuff today. After these, we got a Newsmax host, talking about, Taylor Swift and all of that. We got a lawmaker in Idaho, talking, she's worried about cannibalism becoming like an everyday thing. She's worried about cannibalism taking over. She's worried. And then we got what state is this? Kentucky. A older white Republican at Kentucky at a NAACP event who said that her father was a slave. So I think that she's got things a little confused in terms of the time periods and stuff like that. But first, we're gonna see what's his name, Brett Hume. That's how Brett Hume talks. I just like to hear him talk sometimes.
Speaking of Trump, the Wall Street Journal saying Trump and NATO deterrence. Concern about his comments that we played earlier in the show. The U.S. should be having an election debate over the growing dangers of U.S. security and how to counter them. Instead, we have an incumbent who has presided over the collapse of U.S. deterrence and the GOP frontrunner who dotes on dictators. The NATO Secretary General putting out a statement saying he was concerned with what the former president said in his remarks about NATO.
Well, my guess about that, Brett, was that it's typical Trump loose talk. My guess is that he meant that as a way of threatening the NATO allies who haven't paid their full freight, to which they are supposedly committed and have said they would pay, and they're not doing it. And all of them, so a lot of them are, but some of them are not. And so he's trying to get them to pony up. But loose talk about possibly not backing our NATO allies in the event of an attack from an enemy, particularly including Russia, is not helpful. And the one thing that the war in Ukraine has done is it has brought NATO closer together. It has strengthened NATO's hand. It has gotten more members into NATO. The alliance now stands at a moment of greater strength than it has for some time. And that's a good thing. And the president is not wrong that some allies have not paid their full freight. But this kind of talk tempts dictators, tempts aggressors, and doesn't help.
Yeah, to your point, the NATO Secretary General ended with, I expect that regardless of who wins the presidential election, the U.S. will remain a strong and committed NATO ally.
Hold on, I'm on Chip Chick right now. While the video was finishing out, I was seeing if there's anything worth doing on Chip Chick today. I found one that I pulled open. Again, we still got some fun stuff, but that's what I've been looking at. I'm glad Mike Boy mentioned it. Let's see. There's not a ton of stuff today. But okay, I got two of them. We gonna do both of these. What is it? Chip Chick. What's their brand? It's like Life with a Female Focus or something like that. That's like the brand of the site or whatever. But we always get some of our best content from Chip Chick. So we're gonna start with this, right? The Super Bowl just happened, and this caught my eye. This one caught my eye right here. He and his girlfriend nearly broke up over how upset he got when his team didn't win the Super Bowl. Hey man, it's really not that serious. I don't know. Maybe he bet the house. People bet a lot of money. We got the FanDuel thing going on. We got the legal sports betting going on, which is totally fine, but my God, people lose so much money doing that shit. They win and lose. I mean, that's what gambling is. Losing mostly. You win and then you lose. You win and you lose. And you lose and you lose and you win. And that's what it is. So I don't know if this guy bet a whole lot of money or if he just needs to grow the fuck up because it's really not that serious. Oh, 25. But I would say that this is just a youthful thing, but no, it'd be people that are like super, super fully grown adults who act like this too. This 25-year-old guy has a girlfriend the same age as him, and they have been together for 5 years so far. That's a long time. Then again, you already know sometimes when you get with somebody really young, I mean, sometimes you may be with them for a long time, and then you just get to another part of your life and it's time to not be romantic anymore. And that's okay. That often happens. But let's see what goes down. Yesterday, his friends from college invited him to their apartment to watch the Super Bowl. They live downtown, which is an hour away from where he lives with his girlfriend. So it's kind of a hike for him. He thought the trip would be worth it since he's been a 49ers fan his entire life and even went to their games every single year as a kid. Then his girlfriend asked to tag along, and he had no problem with that. In fact, he really wanted her to be able to spend time with him and his friends. He informed his girlfriend he wanted to leave at 4 p.m. to make it in time to hang out and eat some snacks before the game started. But she took a while to get ready. You know how women are, they take forever. You know how you know how you ladies, you know. I'm just talking shit. And they ended up because I take forever too. I take a very long time to do anything. If there's a mirror around, I'm gonna be in it. That's just how it is. Like a mirror, a shiny reflective surface, I'm gonna look at it for a while. Okay, so where are we now? But she took a while to get ready, and they ended up leaving their place 20 minutes later than expected, which caused them to hit traffic. They wound up arriving at his friend's apartment as the game was starting, and he was shocked to see there were a minimum of 30 guests when he expected there to be half that amount. As he was watching the game, his girlfriend went off to mingle with some of the other girls dating his friends. When halftime was over, his girlfriend kept asking if they could go home soon and wouldn't stop nagging him about it. All right, let's see. Indeed, you already know. I would understand this coming from someone who doesn't enjoy football or sports, but I specifically told her beforehand that I was going to be staying through the whole game because the team I supported was playing. After this is when the game started to turn. Missed catches, a muffed punt, missed point after touchdown, what a field goal, missed field goal, all types of bad plays from the 49ers. And I was getting upset. Not in a scream, cuss, cry, and whine way, but big, deep breaths, hands on my knees and on my head in a despairing look. Oh, it's boiling up. It's boiling up. You know what I mean? He's been annoyed the whole time. You know what I mean? It's he's been frustrated. He left late. They ran into traffic. My man's is hungry. He didn't get to eat the snacks before the game started. You know, okay, where were we? She said that in such a condescending way. Okay, here we go. I skipped over. He was really angry that his team was clearly struggling, and that's when his girlfriend began remarking that it doesn't matter because it's just a game. She said that in such a condescending way that he shot her an angry glare. How is it condescending? You're not playing. You're not on the team. Like you don't play. You're this why is your ego taking a hit from her saying it's just a game? Let me be mad. I want to be mad. God damn it. 10 minutes later, he said, I mean, they're young too. He's fucking 25. So 10 minutes later, he said sorry to her, as he knew he shouldn't take out his team failing on his girlfriend. She simply frowned for the remainder of the evening. After his favorite team wound up losing the game, he was super disappointed and upset. He and his girlfriend left and started walking back to the car. I tried to flip it and be positive because I thought it was behind us now, but she brought up how rude I was and how embarrassing it was for her to be seen with someone that upset over a sports game. I was caught off guard. Oh, here we go. They arguing. They finna be arguing the whole time. But again, they've been together for 5 years, so they may both already. When stuff like this happens, you know, they may have already been tired of one another. I was caught off guard, but then went in about how she was being mean to me all night with her comments. She replied, which she didn't realize how sensitive I was and that she gave up her night so that I could watch my silly game, yada, yada, yada. So we went back and forth for a while. This is such a early 20s argument. But nah, I mean, people be yelling about shit, all types of dumb shit. It don't matter what age you are. This is cute. This is just a cute little argument between 20 something lovebirds. Right? It said she simply frowned. um okay, they continued fighting on the drive. Oh. She doesn't think differently of you just now after 5 years of dating. Y'all have just been together for 5 years and you're very young and you may not need to be together anymore. That's probably more like it. Maybe they're still together, maybe they're not. But that was a cute little couples argument. You know, I thought that was just a cute little couples argument. Yes, at least he didn't break the TV. They made it back home. They probably slept on it, woke up and realized we were just a bit cranky. Skeezy, because they had to be in traffic, they didn't get there in time for the snacks and the hors d'oeuvres and all of that fancy shit. So, when you hungry, you can be a little grumpy. So I totally understand. I totally get it. All right. Now let's go. Let's switch gears. We got another one from Chip Chick, and now this one is a bit more spicy. The one we just went over was cute. The next one from Chip Chick is spicy. A bit wild and rude and ridiculous, but spicy nonetheless. I'm in my early 20s. I don't know how old they are, but we're about to find out. Now, let's see what's up with this. Where you at? Kentucky. Let's go ahead and go down to Kentucky. Go down to Kentucky. My father was a slave. White Republican makes startling declaration at NAACP event. A white Republican legislator who's seeking to ban diversity programs in Kentucky schools told a mostly black audience that her father had been a slave. State Rep Jennifer Decker, Republican, I guess Waddy is the county, who sponsored a bill to eliminate educational opportunities and programs based on race, went before the Shelbyville area NAACP a week and a half ago, made a startling claim during a question and answer session when someone asked if her family had played a role in the slave trade. She was like, they asked her if your family was if your family would played a role in the slave trade. She was like, "Oh, you think you got me with a gotcha question, but I'm about to get you motherfuckers. Bitch, my daddy was a slave." She said, "My father was born on a dirt farm in Lincoln County." A 68 said Decker, a 68-year-old attorney. His mother was the illegitimate daughter of a very prominent person who then was kind enough to allow them to work for him as slaves. What? It's cheap labor, maybe, but not slaves. So if you're asking, did we own slaves? My father was a slave, God damn it, just to a white man, and he was white. Equality. You want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion? No one talks about the white slaves. Why doesn't anybody talk about that? All right, where was we at? Decker's father was a white preacher born sometime around 1933, which was 68 years after the 13th Amendment ended slavery. It was a moment that, in many ways, proved how badly diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, this year's chosen boogeyman of Kentucky's right wing politicians, are needed in Kentucky schools, wrote columnist Joseph Girth. Yeah, man. I mean, she kind of walked right into that. She kind of walked right into that one, did she not? Let's see where we at. We got such diversity programs weren't around when Decker was in school, Girth added. If they had been, she might have learned that few white people in America, short of those who had been trafficked for sex, should ever claim something like that. It's deeply offensive to those who are descendants of actual slaves to hear a white person claim that they are a descendant of a slave. I mean, honestly, that shit don't hurt my feelings. That fuck, who cares? It's just funny. It's just funny. It's not offensive to me. I'm too young to be offended by some shit like that. But it's just stupid. Okay, I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I'm aghast and taken aback. It's just funny. The columnist asked Decker to clarify her comments on slavery, but she kept repeating the word irrelevant, which Gerst said only confused him more. So, irrelevant! What I said doesn't matter. Well, it's not irrelevant, Decker said. No, it's not irrelevant what slavery is, but it's shifting the focus from what we're talking about. Even though I'm the one who made the statement. All right, let's see. Well, my father was born into poverty. He probably was. Shit, he probably was born into poverty. 1933 in Kentucky, the middle of the Depression, the Dust Bowl, the Dust Bowl got going and everything. He probably was born poor as hell. Don't doubt you there. But again, it's the whole argument because we got to get rid of diversity diversity programs. There was a very influential man who allowed them property and then they worked on it. Was I saying that it was kidnapping and abuse the same as slaves? No. He was a child and his family all worked there. I think she realized I mean she had to have realized that like right after she said that it was like, "Oh, that was dumb. I probably shouldn't have probably shouldn't have made that comment." But no, it's just funny. All right, so what's up with this lady right here? Let's see what's up with this. Okay. Now we're going to Idaho, I believe. Is this Idaho? Yes, Idaho. Beautiful, beautiful state. But they got, they got some interesting country bumpkin stuff going on in Idaho, man. You got to be careful. You got to be careful when you're dealing with Idaho. The way our society is going, this is going to be normalized. Lawmaker introduces anti-cannibalism bill after seeing prank show in which no human flesh was consumed. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that you could do. I mean, can't cannibalism. I'm definitely not down with that cause. I definitely don't encourage people to eat other human beings. But you know, this is a bit much. All right, so what's she talking about? Heather Scott. She is doing what the good people of Idaho sent her there to do, god damn it. She doing what they sent her there to do. An Idaho lawmaker introduced a cannibalism bill Thursday, so this happened a few days ago. She said would keep human flesh and bone out of the food supply. Honestly, that just made it even worse. Reading that part of the sentence just made this whole thing worse because I'm sitting here thinking, right? I'm sitting here thinking that she's just introducing a bill to make cannibalism outlawed, which I would think is not something that's legal at the moment. But hey, whatever. But when you make it a bill so that human flesh and bones doesn't end up in food products, that just made it way worse. Now you're on some QAnon level type of shit because now we're not talking about individuals who may be deranged and want to eat their fellow man. We're talking about some type of giant conspiracy that has to involve the slaying of many people routinely, systematically, so that we can eat them. Because I guess we running out of chickens and cows and pigs and shit like that. I guess we running out. I don't know. But that just made this way worse. That just made this way worse. So let's continue. Okay, where were we? Okay, so it was a show prank. Rep. Heather Scott, a Republican, introduced a bill that would expand the state's existing criminal. Okay, see, there's already a cannibalism law, which is what I would have figured, because cannibalism mostly implies you have to take someone's life to do it. I mean, unless you find someone dead on the side of the road. But this is it's kind of gross. But let's move on. Okay, so the state's existing criminal cannibalism law to prohibit any person from willfully providing the flesh or blood of a human being to another person to ingest without their knowledge. So they got to know that they're eating you first. So it's not a full out ban because hands off my guns. You feel me? Don't tread on me. So they still trying to be conservative. They still trying to be Republican. By not fully outlawing the cannibalism. I just got to let you know what you about to consume, right? Yes, amputees. There we go. Amputees. For people who just might go to the hospital and ask the surgeons like, "Hey, whatever you amputate, can you let me keep it? Don't throw it out." Don't throw it in the dumpster at the end of the day. Just keep. Yo, but this is so stupid because it says, without their consent, I didn't consent to eating another person. Idaho's cannibalism law already outlaws the willful ingestion of the flesh or blood of a human being. You know? Okay, so the law states that what she proposes, that the expanded law has no fiscal impact because it causes no additional expenditure of funds at the state or local level of government, nor does it cause an increase or decrease in revenue for state or local government. In other words, it's a law that can't really be enforced. On the legislative floor, Scott said she had two reasons for introducing the bill: to prevent human composting and to ensure that duping people into eating human material is not normalized. You know, because that's something. Okay, hold on. We got video. We got video of this because like we were on the verge of this becoming normalized until she stepped up. She said, quote, "I know this seems like a heavy topic," Scott said as she explained her proposal. "It might seem kind of gruesome. It kind of is. Not silly, not ridiculous, not that. It's just gruesome." First, Scott discussed the dangers of human composting. In 2019, I heard that Washington State was starting to do human composting, and that disturbed me. So I wanted to address this because what I didn't want to see is bags of compost with human bone fragments. Again, I mean, how many people would have to be slaughtered for this to be some type of widespread operation? Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the addiction. That's really the biggest problem. And that's really above anything else. That's really what needs to be addressed in this proposal. Is how goddamn addictive it is. You know what I'm saying? So she's really going above and beyond to protect people's health. She's doing more than we realize. We started off laughing at her, but now, no, we see that she's on to something. I didn't want to see that in my Home Depot stores. Okay, I'm sorry, but this woman is incredibly unintelligent. Like she's legitimately just not smart. And I know that. I mean, who cares? Fuck it. It's mean. It's not nice. So what? If you don't have, if you're not mentally impaired, then it's not that mean to call people dumb. This is dumb. This is really stupid. But let's see what she has to say. Let's listen to some of her words. But no, this woman is very dense in the mind.
The committee will now consideration RS 31078. Representative Scott.
In one of the most anticipated moments of the morning,
thank you, Mr. Chairman. and
Republican
committee members.
Representative Heather
Tell WYCD to go, man, send me a link to his channel. Let me go ahead and follow him, see what's up.
Scott stepped to the podium in the House State Affairs Committee.
RS 31078, cannibalism. And I know this seems like it's a heavy topic, actually. It might seem kind of gruesome, and it kind of is.
Cannibalism is already a crime in Idaho under a chapter titled Mayhem. Any person who willfully ingests the flesh or blood of a human being is guilty of cannibalism. It was passed in 1990 after a rash of unfounded satanic panic investigations in Idaho during the 80s. Representative Scott wants to add a line to that law. Anyone who willfully provides
yes, that's exactly
said flesh
what it
and blood
means.
to another person to ingest without that person's knowledge or consent is also guilty of
without their knowledge or consent.
Cannibalism.
This reminds me of the South Park episode. Eric Cartman, I don't remember who it was. Eric Cartman like ended the lives of this kid's parents and served him his parents in a bowl of chili. This is very South Park-esque. I don't remember what that episode is, but let me know if y'all know that episode. Yo, look at how my dude is staring at her. You see this dude back here? This is great. This is great right here. Look at how he's staring. He's looking at her like, yo. My man's got the beard, he got the eyebrow raised. They like, and he's looking at her. He got his mouth open. He like, are you kidding me?
Okay, so why is this a worry for an Idaho lawmaker? Well, Representative Scott brought up two reasons.
So a few years ago, back in 2019, I heard that Washington State was starting to do human composting, and that disturbed me. So I wanted to address this because what I didn't want to see is bags of compost with human bone fragments.
Yes, human composting is a thing in several states, including
How would you even know?
Washington. But the remains aren't being bagged. They're being spread in a forest outside Battleground, Washington, to help it recover from logging. And the other reason Representative Scott got during a flight last summer.
And I watched a video of some food show.
All right, Chef, can you tell us the 3 secret ingredients that might be found in this amazing sausage that you made for us today?
The 3 secret ingredients that might be found in the sausage are fish liver, human flesh, or shark.
Are those really the 3 ingredients?
Yeah.
And one of the
Yes, more likely than not.
options they told these people that was in the food was human flesh.
Or human flesh.
God help you, it better be shark. Not okay. That's not all right.
You know,
It's a wonderful renewable protein.
Well, hey, yeah, all right.
No,
Are you
that's
sure?
disgusting.
No,
That's
you know, I didn't know it was gonna go like this either.
that's
This is the
really
problem with
disgusting.
stigma of this.
Chef, are you serious?
Yeah, of course.
I thought this is going to be normalized at some point. The way our society's going and the direction we're going, this is going to be normalized.
So Representative Scott based her bill on a video posted to TikTok a month ago
Yes, I'm afraid you're both wrong. It is human flesh.
No.
about something that wasn't actually real.
We're gonna stop shooting this right now. We're gonna do another show called Fameless. It's David Spade's new prank show.
Thank God.
I guess this is what happens when you do your own research.
There's a lot of documentation out there. If you just Google it, there's a ton of people showing it. And
There's really not a lot going on up there. There's really not. I mean, oh man, there is Atari ping pong going on in her brain. It's just bloop, 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 bloop. Like what? Like, are you kidding me?
how they're doing
Look,
it.
listen, if y'all have dreams, follow them. Because if this woman can be in an elected position, then you can do whatever you put your mind to. It might take some time. It might cause you a lot of growing pains. It might be difficult. But look, listen, if she can do it, so can you.
Must have been a short flight since Representative Scott didn't seem to watch the end of that video. I know what you're thinking. Soylent Green is people.
If you had to eat a celebrity. Oh man, oh God. I mean, that was just not a lot going on upstairs with her at all. Yeah, she really didn't look okay. She looked like she's literally out of her mind. All right, let's see. Newsmax host rants about Taylor Swift associate making satanic hand gestures during the Super Bowl. They're making her so much more famous than she already is. And they're not going to stop either. They are not going to stop talking about her and Travis. And then if her and Travis break up, then they're going to be like, yes! They're going to be celebrating.
Christianity under attack all over the globe as we're seeing a crackdown on Catholic churches in Nicaragua. Back here at home, the left has declared open season on people of faith as well. In the culture war last night, Americans witnessed what some are dubbing the satanic Super Bowl, including this moment where someone called Ice Spice, who was hanging out with leftist icon Taylor Swift, made what some
leftist icon. Taylor Swift, the leftist icon. I don't know about all that. She's just a very, very successful, influential woman who's not a Republican.
call satanic hand gestures while she donned a upside down cross. The moment was sent out on the NFL's official X account. We reached out to the NFL for comment. We've not heard back. Then the audience was subjected.
We reached out to them for comment. No, you didn't. No, you did not.
To a commercial from a shadowy group called.
Oh yeah, they was real mad about that. There was a commercial where they had like basically it was a Christian commercial where people were loving each other. They were giving love to one another, and Republicans were like, "No, God damn it, that's not what God's about. Jesus isn't about love. He's about superiority and power."
He gets us, ending with the caption, "Jesus didn't teach hate, he washed feet." The ad indicated that Jesus was cool with all manner of sin.
Right. She wouldn't say Black Lives Matter, and they were like, "Oh, that's my girl. That's my dog. That's my dog." But no longer. They are dogs no longer.
But in stark contrast to the off-the-field antics celebrated by the left, quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
She's not a leftist icon. They're just making her more famous than she already is.
Used his victory speech to praise God. Talk about this. Let's bring in former NFL safety out of Grapevine, Texas, the founder of the Jack Brewer Foundation.
I got my cowboy hat on. I don't know who the hell he is. So I don't know who that guy was. like, okay. And you know what? Here's the thing, right? If Taylor Swift does end up endorsing Joe Biden again, it's like it's just going to be that much bigger and that much more influential because y'all are making her more popular. I mean, obviously that doesn't mean that Biden would win, but they are making her one of the most important people on the planet. They really are. They're making it seem like she has a lot of influence. She does, but she doesn't have to have as much influence as she does because y'all won't shut up talking about it. And the way that they talk about it, it's not substantive. They look like they're jealous because they are. They look like they're jealous. They look like they're envious. They don't look like they're saying anything that matters. They look stupid. All right. Now, we finishing off with Chip Chick. We finishing off with Chip Chick. She went on a date with a guy who brought two other girls along, flirted with them, and then made out with one of them in front of her. This is the ultimate bro move. This is so he had this whole thing planned out. He been watching. My man's been watching Fresh and Fit. He went on what's that sugar baby website? I don't know what the sugar baby website's called. I can't remember. Went on a sugar baby website, got him some sugar babies. Like, all right, I met this new girl on Tinder or Hinge or whatever it was. Went on a date. I'm going to make out with these two broads in front of her, right? And then that's going to make her want me even more. That's going to make her even more attracted to me because she sees that the ladies, they're already digging me. They're already all over me. She's got competition. She knows I'm not a loser. That's what it's giving. The ultimate bro move. In life, many people are not what they seem at first glance. Sometimes it takes a little while to peel back the layers of a person and see what's lurking underneath the surface. Oh, this came from TikTok, so it may totally be fake. Seeking arrangements, yes. Thank you, Brutus. And Mara, thank you. Seeking arrangements. They went on there, went on there. He was like, I'm gonna make out. This is funny because it's so lame. Like this is so lame. Like, okay, yeah, 22, early 20s, definitely. My man's he's been watching too many dating channels. TikToker, come get your daughter is sharing an embarrassing dating story about a guy who brought two girls on their date and again, this may not have even happened. It's TikTok. Drunkenly flirted with them in front of her the whole time. Why didn't you leave? It was quite the twist, resulting in a night that no one would have ever want to relive. When she was 22, she dated a guy who seemed like the perfect gentleman. See, and this is the other thing too. Like one of the funny things, one of the funny things to me a lot of the time when you read these relationship stories that people are so up in arms about it, that there's so much discussion around, you'll often see that these people weren't really together. Like, like, oh, they've been seeing each other for a few months. Like, that's usually how it'll go. And then like there's all this uproar around this stuff, and it's like these people like really weren't dating each other seriously. But no, that's just it's just funny. The ultimate bro move. My man's was like, I am the man. Yeah, but and that's why I said it may not even be true. The fact that she stayed, because honestly, like I really can't think. I mean, and when I speak about dating, I'm usually talking about when you're dealing with people you should be dealing with. Like when like if you're dealing with someone that you shouldn't be dealing with, then it probably won't go well regardless. But most people aren't horrible. Most people aren't bad people. But all that to say, I really can't think of many women who wouldn't just immediately leave if we were supposed to go on a date and I showed up with two other girls. I really can't think of any woman who wouldn't like literally immediately get up and leave. Because I mean, because that's so ridiculous. It's and it's lame. Like you would look like the biggest try hard loser on the planet if you did some shit like that. But but yeah, but I can't think of anyone who would a woman who would put up with some shit like that. I stayed for the whole date. That's why I said when it comes from TikTok, the shit might not have happened at all. But look, we had a fun Tuesday live stream, longer than yesterday. Mondays are usually slow, but also too the Super Bowl just happened, so that's just where a lot of the talk is. But over the last several live streams, we have been looking more at local news. We've been talking about um, uh, cannabis legislation around the country. And I'm going to continue to do my best to just look for local news because there's a lot going on that is important. And, other than that, all the Trump and Biden hoopla is just the same old shit every day for the most part. So, 26 years. God damn, Trent, congratulations. Congratulations. That's a long time, man. That's a long time. 19 not that yo, that's what's up. How old was I in 98? I was 6 years old in 98. I was 6 years old. I was born in 1992. Yes. But y'all have a good one, man. Y'all have a good one. I appreciate everything. I had a good time with y'all today. We're gonna be live tomorrow. I'm gonna get some of these up. I got more work to do. I gotta work out. I always gotta work out, but now I extra gotta work out because I get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? That's part of my job now. But yeah, let's continue to look at just more fun clips. And as it warms up too, one of the things I'm really looking forward as well is as it warms up, I'm gonna be able to just make better content because I'm gonna be able to go outside and do shit. I want, like other than the streams, I want to start putting stuff together. Like as I'm going to events and I'm going to all types of stuff. I live up here in New York City, so as it warms up, I'm really looking forward to getting more people involved here and also just making better content. But yes, y'all have a good one, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for everything.